Welcome, everyone. I'm John Wuorinen, the Director of Admissions and Tuition Assistance here at Columbus Academy. Welcome to another Zoom at Noon here. Today, we are talking to the CA legends. David Block's running a minute late here, but we've got those folks who've been at Academy for, I think, 36 or more years. We'll talk. I'll let everybody introduce themselves in just a minute, but first want to mention a couple upcoming admissions events. There are two more, the next two Zooms at noon. We have community service next week with Christy Benning, who's the department chair of service, and so she'll be back next week. The following winter break, on the 8th of January, we have Alyssa King speaking about summer program here at Columbus Academy. In addition, we have a couple opportunities for people to come out to the school and visit. On Wednesdays, we have Viking visits. This coming Wednesday, December 13th, is a middle school and upper school Viking visit. 8:30 in the morning for about an hour and a half, a chance just to take a group tour of the school, talk with teachers, administrators. So that's December 13th is a middle school and upper school opportunity. December 20th is lower school. Then again, after break, January 10th, middle school, upper school, and January 17th is lower school. So admissions season is in full swing now. So if you're interested in learning more about Academy, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Applications need to be completed by early February in order to make the first round admissions cycle. So we got plenty of time, but the clock is ticking. So on to our Zoom at noon here. Academy was founded back in 1911. It was an all-boys school just outside the city's downtown. Many changes since then. Indeed, Columbus and the U.S. and the world have changed a great deal since then. So as we were brainstorming ideas for Zoom at noon topics, we thought it might be interesting to have some veteran teachers here at Columbus Academy speak about their experience here. So with that in mind, we've got John Exline, who's in his 56th year, I believe. Christy Benning in her 37th year. I happen to be in my 40th year, and David Block is in his 50th year this year. He'll be joining us in a few minutes, we hope. Just to give us some background, that's 183 years of experience between the four of us. It's a bit more free form than most of the Zooms at noon, but we'll play it by ear, and I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about what you've done here at the school, and then I'll be throwing up some softball questions for you to consider as we chat. John, why don't you start?
I'm John Exline. As John said, this is my 56th year teaching and coaching at the Academy. I'm also a graduate, class of 64 at the old campus down on Nelson Road. Excuse me. I've taught U.S. history and economics. I started the economics program my second year at the Academy, and I've been teaching that for 55 years, in my 55th year teaching economics. I've also served at various times as the athletic director, the head of the middle school, the director of summer programs, and I also currently coach basketball. I'm the head JV coach and an assistant varsity coach. By the way, we're both 3-0, and I've also coached some middle school golf. I've done a lot of different things at a lot of different times, and seen a lot of changes in the school. I have a daughter who teaches third grade here, and I also currently have 4 grandchildren that are students at the Academy: pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and third grade. I also had two sons who graduated from the academy in the classes of 97 and 2004. So a lot of different experiences, and I'm looking forward to giving you some more insight as John asks us our softball questions.
Christy?
So my name's Christy Benning. I joined the school in 1987 as a Latin teacher. Currently, I teach mostly the AP and upper level Latin classes. And then in 1997, I took over the management of the school service program. And about 14 years ago, we decided that service needed to have some different kind of structure. And we created a department, which is a little unusual in that, first of all, most schools don't have service departments, but secondly, we have a broad offering of people who support this. So people from the nurse's office, Becky Hoagland, people from the lower school, people from the athletic arena, all are part of this department. So we get a really good idea about the ways in which we can have our community served. So we just finished up Kids for Kids, which was an outgrowth of something Glenna Spencer started during her tenure. It was the holiday project at that point. And on Friday, we had an event called Empty Bowls, where the ceramics students made 600 bowls. We hosted a Soup for Shelter event. And this is the 7th year we've done that. And we will be hosting another Walls Build on Ottervine's campus to build the walls of the Habitat House. So programs changed a lot in some ways and not changed very much in others. Has a lot of the same kind of structures and goodwill that we're trying to create. So that's kind of what I do.
Yep. So usually I don't introduce myself very much during these, but given the topic, I'm John Wuorinen. As I say, right now I'm the Director of Admissions and Tuition Assistance. I started back in 1984 as a math teacher and swimming coach, and I've taught, this is my 40th year, so I had 24 years in the upper school, including stints as Dean of Students, the head scheduler, chair of the math department, and then I have 3 sons who went here, classes of 2012, 2013, and 2016. Christy, you didn't mention your children.
I did not. So my children also attended school here. My son Austin graduated in 2009 and my daughter Alyssa graduated in 2013.
And so, and then also, like John, I am a graduate of Columbus Academy. I started in 4th grade back in 1971-72. So I had John as a teacher in grade 8 for U.S. history, and then again, senior year in economics. Lots of changes here. One of the things that I appreciate, all of us have had many different worn different hats as we've been here, and one of the things that I've enjoyed a great deal is being able to be in lots of different roles here at the school. The first question that I want to ask is, I mean, some things are the same, right? We're a school, we still have kids, all that kind of stuff. But the school has gone through changes at various times. John, you've been here almost half the school's existence. If you include your time as a student, you actually do that. As we sit here, and again, it's a discussion, a chat more than a real interview. I can think of a couple different moments that are pretty crucial to the school's history. But John, what if you had to pick out a couple of moments of the school's history that are pretty important, what would you pick?
Well, I think the one that jumps up immediately is the decision to go become co-educational. And that was in 1991. We had the first girls come in kindergarten first. Actually, both of my daughters were in kindergarten before the school went co-ed. They allowed girls as kindergartners, but beginning in 91, they began to add girls to all the different grades. And by 95 or 96, I forget which off the top of my head, we were completely co-educational from pre-K all the way, actually at that time kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And that brought about dramatic change, not only in terms of the students here, but also the faculty, and to a certain extent, the physical plant, because we had to add a lot of different and new spaces in order not only to allow girls here, but also to have enough room for them.
Right.
So that's one. Another one was the move out to Gehenna, because my senior year was when the decision to move was made, 1964. At that point, the academy, the area where the academy was in an area that was having difficulty in terms of economic growth. And also, we had gone through in the previous 6 or 7 years, 3 fairly significant floods of Alum Creek. This was before they built the dam. And as a result, we'd lost some time in school. We'd also had some damage to the physical plant. So we got an opportunity to lease and then purchase land in Gehenna. And my first year teaching was the first year at the new school. So school wasn't quite 100% done when we started school that first year. But, and as a football coach at that year, I remember kids having to change in the maintenance shed. But very quickly, they got finished. And we, of course, enjoyed some tremendous growth of the physical plant. It's now, one of everybody that comes here from other schools are very envious, not only of the physical plant, but of the amount of space that we have here. We have some in the neighborhood of 200 acres to use, or in some cases to rent out. So the movement, the girls, and I think although it's not a one-time change, I think the dramatic increase in diversity that's occurred here, not only in terms of race and ethnicity, but also in terms of socioeconomic diversity, which is in part the result of an increase in our endowment and an increase in our willingness to provide financial aid, tuition assistance to students who otherwise wouldn't be able to attend the school.
Yeah, we're 230 acres. When people come and visit, they're amazed and impressed at what we've got cooking here. Well, you picked 3 that are pretty easy. Christy, would you add anything to those?
I would, but I think that as I alluded or remarked earlier, I think the foundation that Glenna established with the service club and the work that she did with the kids, we've really been able to move forward and to have our kids engage pretty consistently and with good understanding in the community, and not just in the kind of internship, follow a doctor or a lawyer, but maybe go into and work at a food bank, work with kids with special needs. We have a lot of kids who work in a program called Buddy Up, which is a
Buddy Up Tennis.
Buddy Up Tennis, which also is kind of has grown into a Buddy Up program that is about serving kids with Down syndrome and giving them life skills as well as tennis. So we have a lot of kids who are engaged in that. The program is very active. As I said, we just finished up what used to be known as the Holiday Project, Kids for Kids, which is a school-wide service initiative. And then we have these outreach programs that we've been doing with Otterbein. In addition, we have hosted here at the school the Ohio Classical Conference and the OJCL Fall Forum on about the last 6 years. So, and again, to John and John's point, when people come here, they are, the only word I can use is like wowed by the facilities that we have, by the support that we get from people in our community to do some of these things. the interest that the kids have and their varied interest. To John's point about a diverse group of kids, their parents are interested. There's a lot of engagement in all sorts of ways.
Yeah. Well, what I would add to this discussion is, and I'm sorry that David is unable to join us today. But the growth in the arts here at Academy. When I was a student, and this might be a little unfair, because David was here at that time, but there definitely wasn't the institutional focus on the arts. And if you were interested in music, you could join the Glee Club. If you were interested in art, well, we had one art teacher. There were 450 boys here at the school back when I was in lower school. And there was one art teacher, David Block, was it. Now in the high school, we have about 420 students, and there are 3 full-time art teachers, studio art, just for the high school. So I always kind of wonder why there wasn't the focus in the past. I don't know. It could have been some sort of gender violation. We were an all-boys school. Boys didn't need art, perhaps. I don't know. It may have just been societal, and we didn't recognize how important creativity is to the world. But now, so studio arts are going crazy. We've got a nice, wonderful gallery up there.
Some pretty sophisticated kiln and ceramics.
Yes,
and-
unbelievable stuff. And then performing arts. As I say, we used to have the Glee Club, but now there's the band, the choir, the orchestra,
Strings.
and the theater arts are are alive and well and strong. So there's that growth of a kind of a whole niche. And I think it's when we were founded, it was an all-boys school, and it was healthy mind, healthy body. But that, sports and athletics have always been important to the school, but I think we've branched out quite a bit. John, you mentioned the diversity. I just want to throw out some stats here for those folks listening. We have 46% student of color. We have 25% students who receive tuition assistance. That doesn't include the faculty folks who receive tuition remission. And so there really has been a diversity there. In addition, over the course, we've expanded our program. John, when you were here, there was a lower school.
Yes.
But it started at first grade for many years. And then we added the kindergarten, the pre-K, and then most recently, about 5 years ago, we added the Explorers program, our 3-year-old. So we really have expanded our scope.
And we didn't, when I was a student, we did not have advanced placement. And that started soon after I graduated. Rainey Taylor, excuse me, former history teacher, was the point man on that. And we now, I think in the last year, there were 300 and some AP tests that were taken.
I think it was over 400.
Oh, over 400.
Yeah, no, it was the average student, if you take the last couple of years and just take the average student graduates with about 4.3 APs taken, and the average score is a 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
That's developed quite a bit.
Yeah. And Christy, you already alluded to the community service piece, that it really is I think one of the major changes. How about pedagogy? How about teaching approaches? I know I think about my time here as a student, but we've all been around quite a few years. What do you think about the teaching approach?
Well, I think it's changed somewhat just because we have we get a lot of opportunity for professional development, and we see and hear about new ideas in teaching. And to be perfectly honest, I don't necessarily accept all of those ideas with open arms. But I think you see some diverse styles of teaching. There is a much greater emphasis on project-based learning, more significant activities, group educational work. I think there is still room for an amount of sage on the stage type situation where you have a learning teacher talking about a particular course, but certainly the opportunity for children who have different learning styles to learn at the academy has increased dramatically. It used to be, if you didn't like it, if you didn't like the way we were teaching, that was it. But now I think not only because of the diversity of teaching styles, but also because of the rapid and important increase in the number of courses, not to mention the instructional aid personnel that we have at the school. We're able to satisfy the needs of a much larger percentage of our applicants as far as becoming successful students.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Christy, have you
What
seen?
I would say is is the technology piece.
Right.
That the way that technology has allowed students to have access to all sorts of things. And so their content, their ability to be exposed to a lot more content is there on their own. And what it is a little bit to your point, John, how do you start to tease out what is the factual piece of that content, and how does that, and what do you think about that? So I think the idea of sitting in a room and having someone give you a digested version of something, and you learning it in that particular way has changed mightily. You're now exposed to a whole lot of different information, and you have to think a lot more about what the content is and how that works. And I think in the classroom too, there's a lot more emphasis on collaboration. So I don't know if you can see that from here, but most of us don't have rows of individual desks anymore. There are tables, the tables have wheels, the chairs have wheels, the kids move around in a lot of different ways. And because we have hour-long classes, those classes take shape in different ways depending on what's going on. In 15 minutes, you might be on your computer doing something, and then for 15 more minutes, you might be working with a partner, and then you might go out and video something with your iPad, and then you might come in and share it with each other. And then the class might say, well, we just saw all of that you did, but none of that's based in fact, So, and then, or somebody might have in fact done a beautiful job and said, boy, that was a really good discernment of all of that information that you had to tease through to find the real substance. So I think that piece has changed mightily in the idea of pedagogy. And I think we're really, to John's point, with the professional development, with the technology we have, with the way that the furnishings have moved around in the spaces, I think we really do a good job of having the kids take some initiative and work that way.
Yeah. The things that I would add, when I was a student here, we had this 230 acres, but the only time you went outside was
Fire drills.
Well, in the high school,
PE, and also there was about a 1 week stretch when you used your tree finder in Phil Hess's biology. You went out and identified trees.
Walked around in the
We
creek.
went to Wolf Park.
But now, particularly in the lower school, there's been a very large focus on using our campus as a classroom, using the 230 acres, getting outside and all that sort of stuff.
But I also would say, John, using the inside. So we have a lot more if people want to watch hear what Alyssa has to say, that the events that are hosted here throughout are also the kind of
Yes.
give and take within the community to use this campus, and that
Yeah.
has changed also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And then the other piece that you both alluded to, it used to be that memorizing was that was a learned person had a whole lot of facts right up here. All the, you had to know presidents and, one that you had to know the first 16, first part of
Chaucer.
Chaucer's, the Canterbury Tales.
Tales, yeah.
I mean, all sorts of things were, again, and memorization was a crucial piece to being an educated person back then. Junior speeches have continued, they were originally called chapel speeches, but you used to have to memorize these, the junior speech. You got one little note card when I was a senior in high school. And now the kids are taking their iPads up. We've recognized that there are some things that still you need to memorize, but plenty of it we can get by without. And so I guess I would focus on that. Let's see. It's 12:30, so I'm gonna do look for one more good question here. So thinking, this is thinking globally for a minute. Now I'm moving into admissions mode. Impact on students. What do you, as you think back to students, whether past or present, and thinking about the impact that Columbus Academy can have on these students? Typically, I am routinely thinking in this case about our high schoolers, just because they're the ones who are heading out. Can you think about what the impact that we can have on these students is? Little sales pitch here, to be honest.
Well, I think about some of the students that I've had that I knew were going to be successful and were very successful. And other students who I thought, well, he made it through or she made it through, who have gone on to be extremely successful because of what they learned at the academy, not necessarily what they learned in terms of the materials that they had to study, but also what they learned in terms of the skills of writing, the skills of reading, of being literate, and also of learning how to be critical in their thinking process. And the number of students who you see leave and walk across with their diploma and congratulate them for having that, but you think, gosh, I hope he finds a path. The number of them that find paths that are not only successful, but have a tremendous positive effect on the city, the state, the nation, and its population, it's amazing to me.
Yeah.
I would also say that, and I know part of this has to do with the arts, but I think part of it has to do with our emphasis on teaching your speech and all of that. That the thing that my children, when they went to college and were first in a situation where they had to work in a group and then make a presentation, and their ability and their confidence in making a presentation and being able to do things in a succinct way was markedly different than most of their classmates. And Austin went to school at Tufts, and Alyssa went to school at OSU. And they both said that their preparation in the ability to talk to other adults, to talk to those people who are in a position of power or authority without offending them, in the ability to have a friendly atmosphere and be welcoming, was reinforced in a million ways. That soup of the theater, where you have to spontaneously stand up and make an announcement, the third grade wax museum, all of those kinds of things that they are just part of that, and again, I use the word soup, in which the kids here are immersed, and they just start to be able to do that. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
The poise and all of that is really remarkable. The gift that comes from there.
Yeah, I'll second that. As I think about my own children, as I think about it's actually oftentimes around the holidays, around Thanksgiving break, around the winter holidays, we get lots of recent alums who come back. and the stories that they'll share with all of us as they come through are incredibly heartwarming and you, John, you're right. When you think about some of the folks, I taught math for many years, and one of my students came back and told me, he was a medium math student in high school, and he been very, very successful, and he ended up saying, and I said, you weren't all that good at math before, but now you seem to have gotten it. The line was, all it took was dollar signs being in front of those numbers, and then I got it quickly. And again, that's about financial success. I mean, the stories are not just, of careers and financial, but we do such a great job of, and both of you alluded to it, the soft skills, beyond just the hardcore, facts and figures. Well, thank you both for being here and joining us. This brings today's Zoom at noon to a close. We hope to see you next Monday at noon when Christy Benning will be back and we'll be talking about service. Will you bring a couple of students with you at that time?
I can.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
And then Alyssa King shortly after the holidays on, I think it's January 8th. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.